In this lecture, we'll discuss storytelling basics. So what are the basics of storytelling? Well, there are just a few building blocks that you have to work with. The first of those building blocks is plot, or what happens, character, who it happens to, and place, where it happens. Now, all of this gets constrained, or you need to focus on particular elements more than others, depending on the genre in which you're writing. Let's see how this all fits together by looking at plot first. So what is plot? Plot is the events that make up the story. It is usually divided into these major sections. There's an introduction or a prologue or the beginning of the story, which introduces the setting and the characters. This is followed by some major conflict, which builds during the story until it finally comes to a dramatic climax, at which that climax is ultimately resolved in some way. In the good old days of Disney, it used to be resolved for the better. In the current days of George R.R. Martin and Game of Thrones, the outcome isn't always guaranteed to be rosy. Let's look next at character. What is character? Characters tell the story of the emotional journey. They should grow during the story. There's nothing worse than a character that doesn't learn from what happens to them during a story. They just become stagnant. They become flat, especially during a series. They need to feel real to the readers. Now, how do you feel real to the readers? Well, first of all, you need to be concerned about the character's appearance, their relationships, their history, their patterns of speech, and so on. This should be worked in to using a character, their ambitions, and their personal flaws. Arrogance, envy, you name it, the 7 deadly sins, they affect us all to different degrees and define a character as they do it. Now, what's the third element? That would be place. This is the environment, both physical and emotional, in which the story takes place. It's the time and the era the story is set in. It sets there a drought or a flood. And here's another important key thing when it comes to place. The more research you do, the more realism you're going to be able to put into your story, the more you're going to draw the people into your place. Narrative should describe the place, but also move the plot forward. The best way to describe place, character, the way that things look and so on, is if you can work it into the plot and have it as part of your story, rather than having long sections of expletive, other place or time. See if you can develop it along with the character and the plot. All three of these need to move hand in hand. Now, I warned you earlier that these would be constrained by genre. Here we have the great genre Venn diagram. Don't snicker. It took me a lot of time to put this together. Up at the top, we have plot. To the left, we have character. And on the right, we have place. Now, if you look at the ultimates in these, the ultimate of plot is the thriller. If you're writing a thriller, you'd better have a killer plot because that's going to be the essential element in what you're writing. Character is more of a romance story element. Place, very much science fiction. If you look at the crossovers, you can see that. And finally, what you're aiming for, I think, is the sweet spot. The thing in the middle where you deftly blend plot, character, and place.